In studio with the Admiral, Bill Stubblefield, former Berkeley County Commission president.
Good morning, Rob. That was a lively session.
I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, did you?
They're lovely ladies, but when they come in with a lot of energy
Hurricane
and a lot
force.
of ideas.
Hurricane force winds, baby. Hurricane force winds. Mike Allers Jr. making his co-hosting debut.
Here we go. This is the morning to do it.
Yeah, you came in and you didn't know what you were coming in for,
No.
did you? You thought, well, this is just kind of like a quiet little small town radio show.
Not even Friday. Yeah.
Nothing big happens here. Yeah. Well, maybe. Our guest in this segment is the Vice President of the Jefferson County Commission, Mike Mood. Mike, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How long does it take you to drive here from where you live?
About 20 minutes.
Oh, no big deal, right?
Not a big deal.
Yeah, I got that beat.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Yeah. So, Mike, obviously, there's been a lot going on with the Jefferson County Commission that we've kind of been in the middle of as the sides have aired their stories. We had the president, Pasha Majdi, and Kara Keys in last week in regards to many issues, but primarily the dismissal of the members of the Jefferson County Development Authority. And then Greg Mason and Elizabeth Ricketts contacted us to come in earlier this week to tell their side of the story. While that was going on, I know I was hearing from several different folks, and you were one of those. So I said, Mike, well, come on in. Let's talk about it. And as a vice president of the commission, obviously you were up there among the decision makers and deciding to cut loose the Jefferson County Development Authority members. Your reasoning behind that, Mike?
So I serve as an alternate on the Jefferson County Development Authority with Pasha. Pasha has a little harder time getting into the earlier times of meetings. I was able to do that. Mm-hmm. So I've sat in on the meetings, and they've really been pretty stagnant.
For how long, Mike?
I've been in, since January.
Okay.
So since I've been going, they really look pretty stagnant.
Define stagnant in terms of what?
In growth. They're really not talking about doing a whole lot.
Well, just so I understand, I hate to keep interrupting you. Do you mean that they're stagnant, the JCDA was stagnant in terms of bringing in new business to Jefferson County, or their meetings themselves just aren't accomplishing much?
Yes.
So both on, yes on both.
Both,
okay.
Correct, yes. And looking at what they've been working at, it's been a lot of smaller businesses, which small business is nice. I own 2 of them. But when looking at the county and its growth, we really have got to attract larger business, because we are bringing thousands of people to the county a year, but we are not creating jobs in the county. So I think that one of the goals of the Development Authority is to go out here and look to what are the people that are living here doing for a living, and let's go try to recruit some of those businesses into Jefferson County. And I just don't see that happening.
We see plenty of homes, though.
We see a lot of
Thousands
homes.
yeah.
And homes cost us more in services than what they provide in taxes. Commercial business does the opposite, and the larger the business is, the better the return can be on that.
Now,
and I just don't see that happening.
My colleague Bill, who again is former president of the Berkeley County Commission, has concerns about process and the methods with which this all took place. So, Bill, go ahead and take it from here with your questions on that.
Yeah, I have several questions, Mike, and hopefully a lot of these will kind of evolve through the discussion. One is, this was a monumental decision that affected the whole department. And yet it was determined at one county commission meeting. I have not yet been able to find out how much discussion went into that. I get the impression that not very much went into it, because it was done in one meeting. And that kind of leads me to believe that decisions were made behind closed doors as opposed to the open meeting. I'm not saying it happened, but I'm just saying I've rarely seen something of this magnitude decision made with no more discussion, just one meeting. So I have other questions as well, but address that one first.
So in looking at how things get done, and you're correct, things need to be done in open. And that's some things that you've done when you were president of the commission. You were very good at making sure things are done proper, and proper procedures were followed. And I believe we did the same. Several months earlier, we had made some changes to the bylaws, trying to align with the changes in the codes that had come out in 24, and then again coming out in 25. So we had made some changes before. We had passed them down. They were met with some resistance from the JCDA. And it seemed like they were more interested in fighting with the commission than moving forward with attracting business. And as we looked at some of the code changes that were coming in for 25, one of the things that we saw was the change in the makeup of it. It no longer had the specifics between 24 and 25 of people from this background, that background, the other background. A lot of those had gone away. It also gave us the ability to change the number anywhere from 7 to 22, I believe it was. So my personal opinion was that was the time to go ahead and make the change, because what I saw was that we were not doing anything to move forward. And I felt at that point in time, looking at our board as a whole, you have some that were trying to get some things done, some that were kind of stagnant, some that were wanting to fight. And I believed at that point in time, the best answer was, let's get a clean slate, because the code says we can do that. So I had met with the county attorney to ask and confirm about what the code said. And he confirmed that we were allowed to do that. And he was going to bring that up in the meeting where I had made the motion to vacate all seats. So we did not have private discussions about that. And yes, I do agree, it was kind of short. But there were no private discussions and private decisions made on that.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. But also, you have kind of deflected my question. How could you make such a monumentous decision in such a short period of time without any input from the individuals involved?
Input from which individuals involved as far as who?
Well, I don't think you got any input at all from the Development Authority, did you? The members?
No, we did not.
You did not. So
No. No.
So what message does that send to the public that the members of the Development Authority were either incompetent or no integrity? One of the two. So you're painting them with a bullseye on the back as being a incompetent or no integrity at all. Otherwise, you let them go, you fired them. That's what you did, fired them without their day in court.
Well, the way I see it, looking at the months that I had been on there, and then pre that, just watching and listening to what was getting done, I felt it was very stagnant and it really just weren't getting a whole lot done. And what I really did not want to do was go in and start individualizing. I don't like this person. I don't like what that person. I don't like what the other person is doing. My opinion and my motion was, I think the better answer is we work with a clean slate and we bring a new group in here that is going to have the goal of bringing business and larger businesses into Jefferson County.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's commendable. I do find very troubling that the approach that you took, and at the drop of a hat, you fired everybody. You left the impression that they were not doing their job. They may have not been doing the job the way that you want them to do, but they're volunteers. They devote their time, and they all have the one thing in common: the betterment of the county. So they're now being cast aside as being not doing their job, and with a stigma. They spent all the time, all their volunteerism for the right reasons, and yet they are being thrown aside for not doing the job.
And they're not doing the job that I guess
As you define.
That's correct.
And
yes.
as a elected officials tend to assume they're all knowledgeable, they're all powerful, and they tend to forget about the needs or the impressions or the images of other folks. That's an indictment against elected officials. I was one, and people tend to that. They think more of themselves than what they really should. And I think this is an example of what may have happened.
Well, Mike, how long were those volunteers there in that position?
It varies from person to person how long they were in that position.
So it's not like they were there for the same people were there for 20 years and we're not seeing
No.
them. Okay.
No.
Okay.
I believe Elizabeth Ricketts was on there for 2 years. Greg Mason, I think, for 6. He had indicated he was not going to continue.
Correct,
I think Elizabeth wanted to continue, however. So in the process of replacing these folks, Mike, the decision has been made, correct me if I'm wrong, to go with a smaller JCDA numbers-wise and to eliminate the municipality representation from the 5 municipalities as a mandatory part of the board. Is that correct, Megan?
Correct. In the code, it doesn't say that has to be there. It doesn't specify that it's there at all.
Right.
So
You guys
we
just did that.
We just did that. We dropped, so none of the positions that are there have anything linked to them as a municipality or this background, that background, or the other background.
Okay. And I presume, from what I've been told, Elizabeth said she was invited to reapply. Greg doesn't want to. Will all the others be invited to reapply?
Every board member got the email thanking them for their service and giving them an invitation to reapply if they so choose.
But in the end, though, the county commission, which I believe funds to the tune of $400,000 the JCDA annually.
That is correct, yes.
What you're looking for is a different approach to bringing business into Jefferson County. The bigger the company approach is what you're looking for. Correct?
I would like a more well-rounded approach. I would like large, small, but we do need to spend a little bit more focus on some larger businesses, because that's where I think we get our kind of better bang for our buck.
When I asked Elizabeth in a phone conversation I had with her before we went on the air, I talked to her a couple days before we came in, and asked her, what are the accomplishments of the JCDA since you've been on the board? Because Jefferson County has earned itself a reputation as being an anti-business county. Right or wrong, that's the impression it has given people. This is not my opinion. This is what I've been told.
That's what I've seen, and that's what I've heard as well.
Right. So in defense of that, she said, well, in the 2 years I've been on, we had some issues with leadership. Depending on who was in charge, there were issues with that. She was on the show and gave it more detail than that. And there's the aftermath of Rockwool. The backlash from the community over Rockwool was obviously a thing. And then we have the bottling plant, which is, I guess you can't comment on that because it's still a court case from what I understand.
Correct, yes.
Right? So that still gives the impression Jefferson County is an anti-business county. Do you still feel like the county is viewed that way?
Oh, I absolutely believe the county is viewed that way. And unfortunately, that is something we have got to change, because it makes it very hard to attract business here when they look and see all the negative comments about a new business trying to come in.
Mike, where does that really come from? Because, I'm in Charlestown, right? And you could argue that whole area, is a very red area, right? But for some reason, Jefferson County, if it is a red county, which it is, it votes that way, it does seem the most allergic to business than anywhere I've ever lived in my life.
It does.
And I've lived in blue areas, but it makes no sense that it's easier to have like a small business in a blue area than it does in tiny, Charlestown. So where does this come from, this anti-business attitude?
I think some of it comes from people who've been here their whole life and don't want to see the growth. Want to see, when I moved here in '95, this is not the place that I moved, and not really the vision I had when I moved here. But it's come this way. Yeah. So, we've got to welcome it, because if not, we are failing. We're failing to be able to provide public safety that we need to provide, and the other services that we need to provide to the residents that are all coming here. And the only answer to that is we've got to bring business here to help bring up that other financial side of that to round things out. Does that mean I want to see everything come and us turn into Loudoun County, Frederick County? Absolutely not. But we've got to find some sort of a balance there. And our residents that are here have got to start accepting the fact that we have to have this growth. The other side of that is, if we don't have this growth, we're going to have to figure out how to raise taxes, raise fees. And that is not what I want to do.
My taxes have already gone up this year, so that's not been fun.
Yeah.
But Mike, why do you even need a development authority? Why don't you as commissioners do it all yourself?
So I think
that's basically what you're saying you want to do. You want to get some folks in that's going to mimic exactly what you want.
We want to get folks in that want to look for business growth. That is correct. It takes a lot of people to get things done. So strong hands, and many hands make light work.
All well and good, but what you've done does not imply that's the direction you're going. I take it, I'm really having problems why your solution to something is to fire everybody. And then you got to come in and you're going to rehire. that does not give anything about stability, nothing about continuity, nothing about transparency, nothing about public trust. All of those have been violated in what you folks just did.
I would disagree because
I thought you would, yeah.
we did not have meetings that were not in public. And what I would like to see us look at is people from many different backgrounds and many different business things that they can bring to the table to help make this successful.
But there's natural turnover in all this. They're designed for turnover. They're designed for new blood. That's the way that most committees and commissions are handled. When someone is up for reappointment, they're not reappointed, and you get someone more in line with your thinking. But you don't have a massive firing of people.
But sometimes when you look at a board and a large majority of the board seems to be directing it and it's just not going in the direction you need to go, that's the answer. And I believe that's where we were.
But wouldn't it have been more appropriate to have public meetings and to get the public sense of this as well, and to do this over a period of time, as opposed to one big swoop, we'll turn everything over without any warning, without any opportunity for the board to state their case or to defend themselves? It was all done basically one shot, and that's where I mean with the lack of transparency. It may have been done, the vote may have been done in public, but there was no chance for the public to get involved.
That's one opinion.
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes,
one
it
opinion,
is.
and ours was different.
Yeah.
Michael, Elizabeth said that they were recruiting businesses that they felt were consistent with what the community wanted. And in the aftermath of the Rockwool situation and during the fun that has been the bottling plant, they felt that they needed to represent what the community's, and I'm paraphrasing, what the community's views on what business we want in Jefferson County. And that was the plan that they were taking in attracting businesses. And I think the Rockwool backlash had a huge impact on that attitude. Are you not concerned if you start bringing in those types of businesses again that you might get the same backlash? Because you lived in Jefferson County at the time.
I lived in Jefferson County.
Everybody associated with that project got kicked out of office or resigned.
Instead of Rockwool, why can't we get a Costco, Target? Like everything that's going on in Martinsburg should be here.
So one of the things that Costco and Target things look at is the population in the area, and that's how they decide where they're going to have a store and how many people within a certain distance. Also, Costco, and places like that, they don't pay that well. What we need to do is, I think we need to focus on the residents that are here, the type of work they're doing, and start trying to recruit those businesses to come here. Because if we can get those businesses here and start shortening people's commute time, we're improving their quality of life. We can increase the salaries that are in this county. And I think that's an overall win for people in the county. My time on the JCDA board, I haven't heard them really talk about anything as far as business growth other than a couple of lot sales. One of the things that was brought up was this meat processing plant.
Yes.
That's the first time I've heard that from anybody on the JCDA. And if that's something that was a good idea, which I agree that it is, the Burr Industrial Park had lots for sale that to be a USDA meat processing plant, you need public water and public sewer. That place had that. Why weren't we recruiting that in there? Why were we not using some of the tools that we have, pilots, TIFs, STIF, things like that, to try to encourage one of those there?
Was this a communications issue with the JCDA and the JCC? Were you guys not regularly communicating as to what projects they were working on?
I have not heard. And like I said, my time on there, I've not really heard them talk about anything other than the sports complex that we sent to them to work on. I've really not heard them working on things, and that was troubling.
That's a communications problem.
Yeah,
that's not ideal.
But
correct.
But you have a representative from the commission on the development authority.
That is correct.
So
Mike is that person when
myself and
didn't
Tasha,
make
yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that was the time to.
But while you were at those meetings, you never heard those things being
No,
discussed.
absolutely not.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's doing the work of the JCDA now that the board is dissolved? Mike?
So Krista is in charge while the board is dissolved.
Who's Krista?
Krista, she is the director.
Okay. And then she handles all inquiries right now in regards to business coming into Jefferson County.
That is correct, yes.
When do you hope to have a board reconstituted?
So we will be interviewing again at our first meeting in August. And I would hope at that meeting we would start appointing.
Yep.
We've been out kind of putting the word out of trying to get interest and get people to apply so we already did some interviews. So those people are on the list. We wanted to move to the August meeting instead of the one we just had because it was too short in time to give those that were on the development authority the opportunity to reapply. So we pushed the meeting where we're going to do interviews back to give them the opportunity to apply.
Mike, if I was applying to be on the Development Authority, and I ask you the question, if I vote against something you do not like, am I going to be summarily fired?
My answer to that is no. One single action would not get you fired.
But that's basically what you did this last time.
But it wasn't one action. It was,
But-
in my opinion, it was overall watching how the Development Authority was working towards bringing development to the county. And I just think it needs to go in a different direction.
What is a realistic, larger type industry that could come to Jefferson County that the commission would like to recruit and the community would also accept?
Community accept, that's always the tricky one because
It is.
you just don't know what they're going to accept. It seems like some in the community want to fight everything.
Yes.
And we've got to get past that. And I think that the first step is to start looking at the type of jobs that people here are doing and start looking at that and what the impact that would have on Jefferson County if we were to bring that here. I would like to see us look for businesses that are 25 or 50 employees or more in either an office type job, but we have to have a mix of things. You may have office, you may have some light industrial. Not real sure I want to go to really heavy industrial. That really seems to be one of the spots that stops people.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm quite open. I want to start looking to see what people are doing, and then we can go from there as to what to try to attract.
Has the county commission begun seeing tax revenue from Rockwell at this point?
I believe their pilot is up this year or next year. But just because they have a pilot doesn't mean we don't see any tax revenue.
Well, sure.
Because a pilot is payment in lieu of taxes. So instead of paying the full chunk, they're paying a partial. And they also have other taxes they're paying. Plus, that business being there also supports other businesses around it that may not have a pilot program, and we're seeing taxes from that as well. And that's where we get even more bang for our buck, is when you bring one that helps support others around it. We see growth as a whole.
Do you have an idea what kind of a revenue stream you'll begin getting from Rockwell once that pilot expires?
No, I do not.
No estimates on it or anything?
I've not looked at that, no.
All right, very good. About 2 minutes left. If you have a final question for Mike Allers Jr. or Bill Stubblefield, now is the time to ask it, or else I'll change gears.
Picking up on what you look for in the future, do you have any optimism that you'll be able to recruit the business that you're looking for based
think
upon the history of Jefferson County?
I think so. Is it going to be like we just open the door and they flood coming in? No, it's not. You're going to have to start bringing them in, and hopefully we can start getting some in that aren't getting a whole lot of fight, and one business will see that, and that all kind of like a snowball effect.
Give me an example. I guess Rob asked that question a second ago. What type of business are you looking for that would be the seed to get started?
I would like to see things, anything like IT jobs that can come in that can be a higher paying job that would be low impact on the county. But I'm open to seeing just about anything but heavy industry.
Are you folks close in regards to a data center? I know there's the one in Berkeley County that kind of straddles the Jefferson County line. Will some of that tax revenue be headed your way?
To my knowledge, at the present time, there is not one that has submitted any plans for Jefferson County. Could there be? There very well could be something that hasn't got to us as of yet.
All right. Minute left. Final minute is yours, Mike. You get the closing word.
I'm looking forward to interviewing people and getting people put on the JCDA that can help take us into the future of growth in Jefferson County.
If somebody wants to apply, how do they get in touch with you to do that?
They can apply at boards@jeffersoncountywv.org.
All right. And how many members on the JCDA will there be?
It'll be 8 people that are going to get appointed, and then one will be a commissioner.
Very good. Mike, thanks for coming in. We appreciate you asking the questions.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.